It all starts with the story of Halal, the light bearer. It's one of the most important and misunderstood stories in the Bible, and it contains the answers to some of life's most difficult questions. As God laid the foundation of our little blue-green planet, an angelic chorus erupted in celebration. In that moment, the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Presumably, among these morning stars and sons of God was an angelic named Halal, a Hebrew word meaning shining one or light bearer. If you have never heard of Halal before, it's not surprising. The Bible only mentions the Hebrew name once, and it's translated differently in English Bibles. But the Bible does spend a lot of time talking about this one particular angel. In fact, we probably know more about Halal than any other angelic beings in God's creation, and for a good reason. This is a story about a villain, plain and simple. He's not a hero. He does not become a hero. He's not the victim of a tragic backstory or some undeserved cruelty. He's instead a wrapped and vicious monster. This isn't the kind of story where villains come to his sense in the third act and attempts to right his wrongdoings. He doesn't speak reconciliation or find redemption. He never expresses sorrow or regret over the damage his actions have caused. Only fury and anger and unbridled rage at not being able to cause more. So why you should care about the story? Because it's an important one, because it answers two of the most important questions anyone can ask. Why is this world such a mess, and what can we do about it? Mutiny in heaven. Halal started out well. He started out better than anyone could possibly hope to start. God told him, "You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were perfect in your ways from the day you were created." This being was created by God to be perfect, flawless. He was brilliant, he was beautiful, he was the anointed cherub who covers. But that perfection didn't last. Something was brewing inside of Halal, something sinister, spurred on by pride in his own God-given greatness. Your heart was filled up because of your beauty. Lamented God, you corrupt your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. Most Bible versions translate the Hebrew word Halal here into a Latin name you might be more familiar with, Lucifer. How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. This angel, Halal, Lucifer, the light bearer, the seal of perfection, had gone rogue. He was wrapped up in himself, so proud of what he has, that he started to believe he was more qualified to be God than God who made him. So he led a revolt. The Bible tells us he drew a third of the stars of heaven and drew them to earth. Somehow, likely through twisted logic and empty words, Halal convinced a third of his fellow angels to join him in an attempt to overthrow their creator, the fall of Satan. The aftermath of this decision has reverberated through history like a gong that won't stop ringing. This angelic being was no longer Halal, the light bearer, but Satan, the adversary. He and his angels demons, as they came to be known, set themselves against God and by extension, everything he represented. Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness. They were ready to wage war on every good thing that comes from the Spirit of God. Their coup failed, of course, while other verses go into greater detail about the specifics. Jesus summarized the events for his disciples when he told them, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. War of attrition. I wish I could say the story ended here. I wish I could say that after his fall, Satan accepted his defeat and gave up. But he didn't. Satan makes an appearance in the first few pages of the Bible in the guise of a serpent. He convinced Eve that God was holding out on her, the tree that God had placed off limits under plain of death. There was nothing wrong with the tree, Satan told Eve. If she could just reach out and eat the forbidden fruit, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. Eve bought the lie, Adam followed her lead. Through their disobedience, they sinned and cut themselves off from God, earning an eternal death penalty. The first two human beings lost their place in paradise because Satan, the adversary, convinced them that God didn't know what was best for them. And for 6,000 years of human history, Satan has been doing the exact same thing, convincing people that God doesn't have the answers, convincing people that God's way of life is actively getting in the way of their happiness. The attack plan. And that's the reality we face, a spiritual battlefield filled with demonic forces bent on keeping the human race as far from God as possible. They're out there even now, even in this moment, doing everything they can to paint a false picture of God and convince others to reject Him. But why? Because God has a plan for us. We were created in His image, intended to become His children and live forever in His family. Satan hates that. He hates the idea of the God family growing, and although he isn't strong enough to defeat God, he still aims to hamper the growth of that family as much as possible. Satan will cause war in heaven again in the future, and he and all the demons will once again be cast to the earth, at which he will become more powerful and persecute the church. In the meantime, we must be alert, be sober-minded, be watchful, warns Peter. Your adversary the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Right now, the fall of Satan from heaven is more like a comma than a period. It's an unfinished sentence. He's still at liberty to prowl around like a roaring lion that he is, but the Bible tells us that won't be true forever. After Jesus Christ returns to earth, an angel will take the dragon, the serpent of old, who's the devil and Satan, and bind him for 1,000 years, so that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years were finished. No more deception, no more cunning schemes, no more crafty designs. For 1,000 years, Satan will be powerless to influence the human race and bind it to the truth. It will be a time of prosperity, the likes of which the world has never known. After the fall of Satan, Satan fell from heaven a long time ago, but he never gave up his war against God. What most people don't understand is that the entirety of human history represents only the smallest fraction of God's plan, and that Satan's part to play in that plan is almost over. His ultimate fate rests in the blackness of darkness forever, where he will be powerless to harm anyone or anything. One day, Satan's fall will be final and complete, and God's creation will begin to discover the very thing Satan has been trying to hide from it for so long. A sense of purpose, and maybe just as important, a sense of peace. Thanks for watching. If you like to see more content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.